How Nike's $35 logo became a global icon. Nike wasn't born as the empire we see today. In fact, it started in the most ordinary way possible, with a college track coach and one of his students. Back in 1964, Phil Knight was a young athlete who loved running but hated the heavy, clunky shoes available at the time. He had this crazy idea. What if he could bring lighter, cheaper running shoes from Japan into the US market and take on Adidas and Puma, who were the big dogs back then? Together with his coach Bill Bowerman, he started a small business called Blue Ribbon Sports. And when I say small, I mean tiny. They were literally selling shoes out of the back of Phil's car at track meets, hustling one pair at a time, hoping someone would take a chance on them. At first, business wasn't glamorous. They weren't rich, they weren't famous, they were just two guys obsessed with making better shoes. But one thing was missing. They needed their own brand, a name, an identity, something that stood out. And that's when fate stepped in through a college art student named Carolyn Davidson. Carolyn wasn't a famous designer, she wasn't running an agency, she was just a broke student trying to pay for her classes at Portland State University. Phil, who was teaching accounting there, overheard her saying she needed extra cash, so he offered her a little job. "Hey, can you design us a logo?" She sat down with some sketches, experimenting with shapes that could suggest motion, speed, and power. After playing around with different ideas, she came up with a simple, curved check mark. It looked like a wing. It gave the sense of movement, and it tied perfectly to Nike, the Greek goddess of victory. Carolyn showed the design to Phil, and his reaction was less than enthusiastic. He literally said, "I don't love it, but it will grow on me." Not exactly the pep talk you want after putting hours into a design, but he paid her $35, they slapped the logo on a shoe, and the Nike swoosh was born. Now, $35 for one of the most recognizable logos in history feels insane today. But back then, Nike wasn't Nike. They were struggling. Adidas and Puma controlled the world of sports. Nike was this little underdog just trying to survive. But here's where the magic happens. Nike didn't give up. They innovated. They experimented with lighter soles, new materials, and designs that athletes actually loved. They didn't have big marketing budgets, but they had creativity and hustle. And then came the moment that changed everything. 1984. Nike made the bold move to sign a rookie basketball player named Michael Jordan. At the time, nobody knew Jordan would become the greatest of all time. In fact, he originally wanted to sign with Adidas, but Nike offered him his own shoe line, something unheard of back then. When the first Air Jordans hit the shelves, they exploded. Kids weren't just buying sneakers, they were buying a piece of culture. And right there on every pair, visible on every court and every street corner, was Carolyn's $35 swoosh. From there, Nike caught fire. They weren't just selling shoes anymore, they were selling identity. In 1988, they launched one of the most iconic ad campaigns ever, "Just Do It." 3 words that captured the essence of ambition, grit, and possibility. Suddenly, Nike wasn't just for athletes. It was for everyone who wanted to push themselves, whether you were running marathons or just starting a new challenge in life. And here's the genius. The swoosh and "Just Do It" together became more than a brand. They became a mindset. By the 90s, Nike had surpassed Adidas in the US. They dominated basketball, football, running, and even fashion. Celebrities wore Nike. Street culture embraced Nike, and the swoosh became one of the most recognized symbols in the entire world. But here's the part of the story I love the most. Years after that first $35 payment, Phil Knight called Carolyn Davidson back. By then, Nike was a global powerhouse worth billions, and he handed her a special gift: stock in the company. Those shares today are worth millions. Imagine that, your small college design project turning into a lifelong fortune. What's the takeaway here? The swoosh shows us that legendary things often start small. A tiny logo, a risky decision, a rookie athlete. None of these seemed world-changing at the time. But stacked together, they built one of the greatest brands in history. It's proof that you don't need to start big. You don't need all the answers. You just need to start, to put your idea out there, and to let it grow. Because sometimes, the things you create today, no matter how small, can echo across the entire world tomorrow. So the next time you think your idea is too small, remember Nike. Remember the swoosh. And remember that one simple design, paid for with pocket change, became a symbol of victory, ambition, and belief for millions of people around the globe.